Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Long, long ago, before busy cities and fast cars, there was a special place on Earth. Imagine a world that was fresh and new, filled with the brightest green trees and the most colorful flowers. The air was pure and clean. Gentle animals, big and small, walked peacefully everywhere. This place was not just any area. It was a magnificent garden, the most beautiful garden you could ever dream of. It was a perfect home, prepared especially for the very first man and the very first woman. This is their story. It is a very old story, one that many people around the world know and tell. It begins with a perfect start, a time of pure joy and simple living in this amazing garden. There was no sadness there. There was no pain, no hunger, and no worries. Everything was easy and good for the first man and the first woman. They had everything they needed, given to them freely. Their life was happy and without trouble. However, this story is much more than just about a beautiful garden and two people. It is about creation itself. How our world and everything in it truly began. It is also about choices. The first man and woman were given an important choice to make. And just like all important choices, this one had very big results. The story will tell us about these consequences. It will show how one simple choice could change everything, not only for these two first people, but for the entire world that came after them. This is often called the most famous story about the very first days of humanity. It offers lessons about life, about freedom, and about why some things are the way they are today. Listen closely to the tale of the first man and woman, their perfect home, and the big choice that changed their world forever. 2. A new world. God made a beautiful world. First, He created the sky, the land, the seas, and all the green plants. He also made the sun to give light during the day, and the moon and stars for the night. Everything was perfect and good, just as God planned it. Then God made a very special place on earth, a truly wonderful garden. Its name was the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden was a place of great beauty. Tall trees stood everywhere, full of delicious sweet fruits ready to eat. Bright, colorful flowers grew on every path. Clear, cool rivers flowed through the garden, making all the plants fresh and green. Many different kinds of animals lived there too. Birds sang happy songs from the branches. Gentle deer walked quietly, and playful creatures ran on the grass. There was no sadness, no hunger, and no danger. Only perfect peace and joy. After making this amazing world and garden, God wanted to create a special helper to enjoy it. He took some soft dust from the ground. With His own hands, God carefully formed the shape of a man. Then God breathed life into the man's nose. Slowly, the man opened his eyes for the first time. He was alive. God called this first man Adam. God put Adam in the wonderful Garden of Eden. Adam had an important job from God. He had to take care of this special garden. He would look after all the plants and keep everything in good order. God also brought all the animals to Adam, one by one. Adam's job was to give a name to every animal. He met many different creatures: big lions and small birds, fast rabbits and slow turtles. Adam thought about each one and gave it a special name. This was a very big and interesting task for him. Adam lived a truly wonderful life in the garden. Every day he ate delicious sweet fruits from the trees. He drank cool, clear water from the flowing rivers. He walked among the bright, beautiful flowers and talked with the friendly animals. The sun was always warm, and the air was always fresh and clean. All the animals were his friends, and he felt no worry or fear. Adam was happy and content in this perfect place. Life in the Garden of Eden was absolutely perfect and peaceful. Adam was the first man in this brand new, amazing world, created in God's own image, with a very special role to play. 3. Adam gets a friend. Adam lived in the beautiful Garden of Eden. He had a big job. He named all the animals and took care of the plants. Every day Adam saw many creatures. There were birds flying in the sky and lions resting in the shade. Fish swam in the clear rivers. All the animals had friends. They had partners. But Adam was different. He was the only human. He felt a little lonely, even in such a perfect place. He needed someone like him. God saw that Adam was alone. God said, "It is not good for the man to be by himself. I will make a helper for him, someone who is just right." So God decided to create a special friend for Adam. First, God made Adam fall into a very deep sleep. Adam slept peacefully in the garden. While Adam was sleeping, God took one of his ribs. From this rib, God began to form a new creation. Slowly, carefully, God made the first woman. She was beautiful and strong. When God finished, Adam woke up. He opened his eyes and saw her. She stood before him, a new being, wonderfully made. Adam was full of joy. He looked at her and knew she was meant to be with him. "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh," Adam said. "She will be called woman because she was taken from man." Adam called her Eve. She was his companion, his helper, and his friend. Now Adam was not alone anymore. He had someone to share the garden with, someone to talk to, and someone to love. They walked together in the garden, happy and at peace. Their life in Eden was truly complete. 4. The talking snake. In the beautiful Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve lived a happy life. God had given them everything they needed. He also gave them one simple rule. They could eat from any tree in the garden, except one. This was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God told Adam that if they ate from this tree, they would surely die. This was the only thing they could not do in their perfect home. One day, a creature entered the garden. It was a serpent, an animal more clever than any other creature God had made. This serpent did not like God's rule. It watched Adam and Eve. It wanted to make them break the rule. The serpent found Eve near the special tree. It started to talk to her. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? The serpent asked Eve. Eve was surprised to hear the serpent speak. She answered, "We can eat fruit from most trees, but about the fruit from this tree in the middle of the garden, God said, 'You must not eat it or touch it, or you will die.'" The clever serpent smiled. "You will not surely die," it told Eve. "God knows that if you eat it, your eyes will be opened. Sis, you will become like God, knowing good and evil." The serpent made God's words sound wrong. It made God look like he was hiding something good from them. The serpent made the fruit seem very tempting. It promised Eve a special kind of knowledge, a wisdom that only God had. Eve listened carefully to every word. She looked at the fruit on the tree. The fruit looked beautiful and delicious. The idea of becoming wise like God filled her mind. The serpent's words stayed with her, making her think about the forbidden fruit in a new way. She wondered if the serpent was right. Maybe God did not want them to be as wise as him. This thought was new and powerful. 5. The forbidden fruit. Eve looked at the fruit on the special tree. It was very beautiful. Its colors were bright and inviting. She thought about what the serpent had said. The serpent told her that eating this fruit would give her great wisdom. It would make her like God, knowing good and evil. The fruit seemed good for eating. It looked delicious. More than that, it promised new knowledge. Eve deeply wished for this new wisdom. She thought about God's one rule, but the desire for knowledge was strong. She forgot the warning about death. She made a choice to disobey. Slowly, Eve reached out her hand. Her fingers touched the smooth skin of the fruit. She picked it from the branch. She brought it to her mouth. With a small bite, she tasted the forbidden fruit. Its flavor was unlike anything she had known. She ate more. Adam was standing nearby. He saw everything. Eve then offered the fruit to him. She held it out, and Adam took it. He also ate from the fruit. He knew God's command too, but he chose to eat it with Eve. Suddenly, everything felt different. It was like a curtain lifted from their eyes. They looked at each other. For the first time, they truly saw their own bodies. They realized they were naked. Before, their nakedness was natural, like the animals. They felt no shame then. But now, a new feeling came over them. It was a strong feeling of shame. They felt exposed and vulnerable. They felt bad about being uncovered. They quickly looked for something to hide themselves. They saw the large leaves of a fig tree. They gathered these big leaves. With skillful hands, they sewed them together. They made simple coverings for their bodies. These were the first clothes. They hoped these leaf coverings would hide their nakedness. They felt a deep need to cover what they now saw as wrong. As the day grew cooler, they heard God walking in the Garden of Eden. His voice was familiar, but now it made them afraid. They quickly moved. They tried to hide among the many trees in the garden. They hoped God would not find them in their new state. 6. The sad truth. God came to the beautiful Garden of Eden in the cool part of the day. He often walked and talked with Adam and Eve there, enjoying their company and the perfect peace. But this time they were not there to meet him. Adam and Eve heard God's voice calling through the trees. Instead of coming out, they quickly hid themselves among the garden's many thick plants. They felt scared and deeply ashamed because they knew they had openly disobeyed God's one clear rule. God called out, "Adam, where are you?" Adam answered from his hiding place, his voice low and full of fear and guilt. "I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I ran and hid from you." God then asked Adam a very important question, showing that he knew exactly what had happened. "Who told you that you were naked? Did you truly eat from the special tree I strictly told you not to eat from?" Adam did not want to take the blame for his own actions. He quickly pointed to Eve and said, "The woman you gave me to be with, she gave me fruit from that forbidden tree, and then I ate it." God then turned his attention to Eve, his voice very serious. "What is this bad thing that you have done?" Eve also tried to shift the blame away from herself. She said, "The clever serpent tricked me with its smooth words, and because of that trickery, I ate the fruit." After hearing their excuses and broken promises, God spoke about the sad and lasting consequences for each of them. He gave them each a specific punishment that would change their lives forever. First, he spoke directly to the serpent. "Because you did this evil act, you will be cursed above all other animals. You will crawl low on your belly on the ground, and you will eat dust all the days of your life. There will be a lasting hatred between you and the woman, and between your children and her children forever. Her children will one day crush your head, but you will only be able to bite their heel." Next, God spoke to Eve, telling her about her new difficult life. "I will make your pain much, much greater when you have children. You will experience great suffering and hard work when you give birth to your babies. You will always want to be close to your husband, but he will now rule over you, and your life will be harder." Finally, God spoke to Adam about his serious part in the disobedience. "Because you listened to your wife's words instead of mine, and ate from the tree I strictly told you not to eat from, The ground itself will be cursed because of you. You will have to work very, very hard with much effort all your life to get food from it. The ground will grow sharp thorns and bothersome thistles, making your work even harder. And you will eat the wild plants of the field. You will work with sweat on your face to earn your food until you return to the ground you originally came from. For you were made from simple dust, and to dust you will eventually return. Adam and Eve had truly made a terrible, life-changing choice. They had directly disobeyed God, and their perfect, easy life in the beautiful Garden of Eden was now completely over forever. To prepare them for their new, harder life outside the garden, God then made special clothes for Adam and Eve from animal skins. These new, strong clothes were much better and warmer than the flimsy fig leaves they had tried to make for themselves. This was the sad truth for everyone. Their actions had changed everything, not just for them, but for the entire world and all the people who would come after them. This was the beginning of a different, much harder world for humankind. 7. Goodbye to the garden. God had already given Adam and Eve their punishments. Now it was time for them to leave the perfect garden forever. God explained the hard life waiting outside. They would no longer find food easily. Adam would have to work very hard on the ground to grow food. The ground would be difficult, bringing thorns, and he would sweat for his meals. Eve would also face new difficulties. She would have great pain when giving birth to children. Also, her husband would rule over her. Life outside the Garden of Eden would be very different from their easy days. Every day would bring challenges and require hard effort. Before they left, God showed them one last kindness. He saw their fig leaf clothes were not enough. He made new, stronger clothes for them from animal skins. These garments offered better cover and warmth for the outside world, not as gentle as Eden. Dressed in these new clothes, Adam and Eve walked slowly to the garden's exit. Their hearts were heavy with deep sadness. They took one last look back at the beautiful place they had lost forever. The trees were green, fruits ready, and peace filled every corner. But now they had to leave all that ease. Their disobedience brought serious consequences. God sent Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden for good. They could not stay inside. If they did, they might try to eat from the tree of life. If they ate its fruit while living in sin, they would become immortal in that wrong state. God did not want them to have eternal life with the knowledge of evil. To make sure they could never return, God placed a powerful guardian at the east entrance. This was a mighty angel, a cherub. The angel held a bright, flaming sword that turned in every direction. This fiery sword blocked the path back to the tree of life and the garden. Adam and Eve watched as the angel stood guard. The garden was truly closed to them. They were now outside, beginning their difficult life in the wide world. 8.
Life outside. Adam and Eve now lived outside the beautiful Garden of Eden. The world outside was not like their old home. It was a wild place, full of challenges. There were no trees giving food easily. They had to work hard every day to find food. Adam tilled the ground, and Eve worked to make clothes and care for their growing family. Life was tough, just as God had said. But they learned to survive, facing the difficulties of this new life together. As time passed, Adam and Eve started a family. They had their first two sons, Cain and Abel. Cain grew up to be a farmer, working the ground like his father. Abel became a shepherd, looking after sheep. Later, another son, Seth, was born. Adam and Eve loved all their children, teaching them what they knew about living in this new world. Over many years, they had more sons and daughters, and their family grew very large. Adam lived a long life, for 930 years, before he finally died. The story of Adam and Eve is very important. It tells us about the beginning of human life on earth. More than that, it shows us how choices can change everything. Adam and Eve's choice to disobey God brought many consequences. Life became full of hard work, sadness, and death. It also introduced shame and the knowledge of good and evil into the world. This moment, often called the fall, is a key idea in many religions. For thousands of years, people have thought deeply about this story. It helps us understand why there is suffering and why humans often struggle between doing good and doing bad. Different cultures and faiths interpret the story in various ways. For example, in Christianity, it explains the idea of original sin, meaning all humans are born with a tendency to sin because of Adam and Eve's actions. However, in Islam, Adam and Eve were forgiven by God, so the idea of original sin is not held. This ancient story continues to shape beliefs about humanity's place in the world. It highlights the power of free will and the idea that all people are connected, sharing a common beginning. It is a story about innocence lost and the hard but real life that followed. It makes us think about how our own choices affect our lives and the world around us. What do you think is the most important lesson from Adam and Eve's story for people today? Share your thoughts below.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.